All right, this week's challenge is about the question of same-sex marriage. And here's the challenge. They say this: if you take away same-sex marriage, you'll take away stability from children of same-sex couples. So not only will you be discriminating against people wanting to marry, but you'll also be hurting the next generation. Now, this challenge is true only if you assume that same-sex marriage is an ideal situation for parenting children. And of course, I've argued in numerous blog posts and other videos in the past that this is not the case. So my intent here is not going to be to rehash all those arguments. Now, according to this challenge, there are a number of same-sex couples that have children. But since they aren't allowed to get married, that is the couples, this ultimately then harms the children. So it is alleged, though, then, that if you allow these same-sex couples to get married, it will allow the children to prosper. If having children in an unmarried same-sex household is harmful, then the solution is not to allow for same-sex marriage, but it's to prevent same-sex couples from adopting. The real harm comes not from denying same-sex couples the right to marry, but from denying children the right to a mother and a father. And that's because decades of research in social science and psychology and medicine have shown that children do best when they're raised by their biological mother and biological father in a long-term marriage. And so same-sex marriage intentionally creates a situation that denies a child either their mother or father. In fact, same-sex marriage literally says that mothers and fathers are interchangeable, that a mother offers no unique contribution to her role as a parent. In fact, a man could accomplish all the functions of a woman, of a mother, just as well as she could. And of course, this not only goes against common sense, but it goes against much of what we know from research for the last 20 or 30 years of social science, medicine, and psychology. Now, does this mean if we have a woman who's married to a man and has a kid, and she gets divorced and becomes a lesbian, and then takes that child into a lesbian relationship, that therefore we should take that child away from that lesbian mother and her lover? No, of course, I'm not saying that. And in fact, the parallel situation would be if a woman who's married to a man and has a kid, and the man and her divorce, she remains a heterosexual, but now is a single mother. Do we take that child away from her? No, of course not. Now, both of the situations of the single mother and the woman with a child in the same-sex relationship, I would argue, are less than ideal situations of parenting. But that just means that we as a culture and as a community should come around and try to support and help these people provide good parenting for their child, because after all, they don't have those children in both situations do not have the benefit of having both a mother and a father in that relationship. So since we recognize that both of those situations are less than ideal, we shouldn't then intentionally create a parenting or family model that denies a child either the mother or father or both by allowing same-sex couples to adopt. So that's the real concern. It's not whether we should allow for same-sex marriage or not. Of course, I don't think we should. But the problem here that we have is that we're intentionally creating a situation that is less than ideal for the child. And so that's why I don't believe same-sex couples should be allowed to adopt. And to be consistent and fair, that's why I don't think we should allow single people to adopt either. Because both situations represent a situation where a child is not being given both a mother and a father. And that's what ultimately harms kids.